Welcome to today's SeafoodNews.com video, sponsored by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute.
We've seen this community grow from 400 people to 4,700 people now in 40 years, and that is because of the development of the fisheries in the Bering Sea. I'm talking to you this week because Unalaska Dutch Harbor was very pleased to host two Arctic commissions that were meeting here in town, the U.S. Arctic Commission and the state of Alaska's Arctic Policy Council.
It's a body of scientists, of business people, and of Native Alaskans who advise the federal government on its research strategies relating to the Arctic.
The Commission visited Unalaska Dutch Harbor this week in order to get a sense from the southern part of the Arctic what the most important issues are with respect to Arctic research.
The Arctic is really the most fascinating ocean today because it's now changing in a way that has it functioning more like the other four. So it's very challenging. We think of marine resources and think of fisheries. We think of what's happening in the northern Bering Sea, and we think of what's happening just inside the Arctic Ocean in the Chukchi or Beaufort Seas, and realize that how those ecosystems have worked in the past, we know that in the future they will be very different.
With the rapidly melting ice in the Arctic, there is so much on the table for Alaska. We're talking about continuing the world-class management system that we have in the Bering Sea right now in the Pacific Ocean and elsewhere in Alaska. We're looking at a bigger playing field, if you will, with more countries involved and something that's going to take on a specter that perhaps we can't even imagine today.
There are certainly different international players and certainly a lot of commercial interest in the Arctic that we didn't have 20 years ago. I mean, the fact that we have nations like China and Korea very interested in the Arctic right now, to have imagined that 10 or 20 years ago, to imagine that they would be building icebreakers and be thinking about commerce in the Arctic just wasn't something that was on the table.
Ultimately, this should come back and benefit the people of the region, and so we try to keep our focus on that. It's not just done for esoteric purposes. What we heard from the community today was that while the nation is focusing on the higher parts of the Arctic from the Bering Strait north, and that there's great desire to learn more about this region, I heard from the community today was, if there's a fixed pot of funds to do so, don't rob Peter to pay Paul. That make sure that as you go into these new areas, you don't do so at the expense of what's done currently in the Bering and the Gulf of Alaska.
We do have concerns on how this is going to work out. Unalaska is also centrally located in the Bering Sea, which has the nation's largest and richest fisheries. We're concerned with increased transportation through the fishing grounds at certain times of the year. If there was an accident or a spill up in the Arctic, would it impact fisheries in the Bering Sea? So it's something that we're looking at. It's going to take money to provide research, surveys, Coast Guard presence. All those things are going to be additional funds in a very shrinking financial pie that the federal government and the state of Alaska have. And how is that going to impact the ongoing fisheries in the Bering Sea, which are the nation's largest and most important, and are the economic engine for coastal communities in southwest Alaska?
Today's SeafoodNews.com video was brought to you by the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute. Alaska has been protecting wild and sustainable seafood for generations and adheres to the most recognized and internationally accepted set of guidelines written by the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. For recipes and additional information, visit wildalaskaflavor.com.